Welcome to the new episode of Home Visit with Tyler Siskey and the Associates. Join with me today, my man, the myth, the legend, Jake Crain. Jake, what's up, brother?
Coach, what's up, man? It's good to be on. Congrats on all the success.
Yeah, man. First of all, before we even get started, because I know you're rushing, got you for a little small bit of time today. So I'll make sure I get this in. Let's talk a little bit about Crain and Company, your new show, you moving over. So why don't you tell the fans a little bit about it and how they can get to see you and all that good
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah, man, I appreciate it. We're the new sports show for the Daily Wire for Ben Shapiro and them. They reached out when we were in talks with Cowherd about re up, and just thought it was worth a chance, and them kind of delving into sports, and they've already dove into the movie industry and are getting into country music as well. Saw an opportunity and jumped on with them. It's been great. We go live on YouTube, thedailywire.com from 2 to 3 Central every weekday. You can find it Apple Podcast, Spotify. It's Crain and Company, Crain. It's funny, we're with the Daily Wire, but we don't get political at all. So it's we're kind of the only show that doesn't get political, because I think there's an avenue that people want when they want to hear about sports. They want to hear about sports. I mean, I'm not in here talking about the vaccine or inflation or any of that stuff. There's plenty of places you can go to
Right.
hear that. So yeah, man, we had some big guests already. Got a big one coming on Wednesday. Got Jason Whitlock coming on, and then announcing a bus tour we're doing down to the Final Four down to NOLA. So
Oh.
it's been great so far, man. Everybody's been awesome.
And I love it. I listen every day. I'm a big fan. I'm an honorary Booster Club member. I like getting in there. I enjoy it. So I encourage everybody to check it out every day. It's something that's if you're a sports fan, you gotta love it, and it's awesome. It's good talk, so I like it. But all right, as we transition here, let's talk a little bit because I know I listened to the show yesterday as we're taping this on Tuesday, but we got to talk about this Will Smith Chris Rock deal. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you still think it was fake, or have you transitioned
It's
into the
gotta be
real?
it's gotta be fake. It's like I said yesterday on the show, like, we don't have a Papa Doc situation from 8 Mile. I mean, Chris Rock isn't from Cranbrook, like, he didn't go to, some fancy private school in Rhode Island, like, he's from Philly. You know when a guy is walking up to you like that, if you've ever been in any sort of altercation or disagreement with another person, when you're walking up there like that, it'd be different if Will Smith was walking up like, "Ah, Chris, that was hilarious. Now I'm gonna tell a joke and roast you." But he was walking up to either get in your face or slap you or punch you in the face. Like, I don't know how you don't know that. And for Chris Rock to put his hands behind his back and just lean over and like smile the most punchable smile of all time, I feel like it was staged. I mean, the Oscars, they've struggled, from a view and rating standpoint. What's the last thing you remember about an award show? Like, off the top of my head, I can remember Kanye and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I don't
So,
remember. I don't remember anything from those shows, but I will tell you this: I'm on Team Real here. All right, and this is the
you think
only
it's
reason I am.
real? You
Okay,
think it was real and
I,
not planned at all? That
I
professional actors that get paid to act like
no,
other
I'm
on
with
that's
you.
not really happening?
I do not disagree with what you're saying, by the way, at all. Okay, what do you like to say all the time? Is like two things can be true at
You think
once,
it can be
right?
true at once. They
All
can.
right, and here's why. And I think Neil and Chase were talking about this on their podcast yesterday, and I agree with it. We had this big discussion at dinner time. This is what we were talking about at dinner last night with my kids, by the way.
Nice.
Is what does Will Smith and Chris Rock owe the Academy to do that for him? Will Smith's fixing to take some heat for this, right? And I mean, he doesn't need that for his career. And so, what is he getting out of it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they owed. I don't think he would do that for the Academy if they asked him to do it as a bit. I don't think he would. I'd hope not. But I don't think he would do that as a bit or Chris Rock because they don't need that. And then two is and so your guys at your place ought to be all over this. In this woke world that we're in right now, the academy doesn't want violence and all that stuff. That's not their move to do that to boost ratings. They would have probably tried something else, but not that. So I'm on Team Real, even though I wasn't impressed with the form. I wasn't impressed with if I was really that mad to defend my wife, there'd been more than like a grazing of the chin by the fingertips. We'd have gone full open hand across the face, in the knockout jaw part. But I don't. But I am
let
on
me ask
Team
you
Real
this
for
though.
that
Let me
reason.
ask you this though. You would have probably done it backstage, right? If it was
Oh yeah,
real,
no,
if
no,
it
no.
was
I wouldn't have been a public thing. It would have been because it would have been one on one backstage. Nobody would ever find out about it. Like I
my
would, it would be something serious though.
yeah, my thing is like back to the Will Smith or Chris Rock thing. I who knows what they owe the Academy? Like I don't know what really goes down. Like who we could go back to the years. I'm sure the Academy has done a lot of favors for Will Smith and Chris Rock. Probably, I would think.
But
I
do
mean,
they
again,
threaten to take away the award though if it's not real?
I mean, again though, who which one of those actors really like would it really hurt? Like
Will
Sean
Smith?
Penn's out here, and I know Sean Penn's a different kind of crazy, but Sean Penn's out here like, well, if they don't say something about Ukraine, I'm gonna burn my Oscar in the middle of the street. But like what I'm saying is like I don't know what these people owe. I don't know Will Smith. I don't know who got you out of the Bel Air show and put you on the big screen. I don't know. Maybe the same guy who's putting this together. Look. I think they're all. I don't know. I think it's like one big group. Who knows what other people owe? I know this though. I know this though. He really slapped Chris Rock. Like that hand touched face right there.
Yeah. Well,
But I mean,
Ric Flair did some real slapping in his day too. But
he did, and
woo.
I'll give Will Smith and them the benefit of the doubt. You guys get paid to do this for you. You were in Ali. You can fake punch somebody about as good as there is, you know. So
Yeah.
Chris Rock, I'll give you your due too. But man, part of me just feels like the Oscars. I didn't even know the Oscars was going on until I saw this on social media. Like to me, they
I
ran the
still didn't watch it.
reverse. They ran a reverse on the first play. Like
Yeah.
y'all ran a reverse on the first play. Y'all needed the ratings. Now next year, like I said in the show, next year what's gonna happen? Y'all gonna have Beyonce and Rihanna like in the UFC?
What's the
You know,
follow
which
up?
I would watch. Which I would watch in a heartbeat. I'd watch in a heartbeat.
I'm not watching. I didn't watch Sunday. I didn't watch when I saw it. I ain't gonna watch next year. I'm not a. I mean, I'm going. I'm not gonna
No,
watch
I
anything
can't.
about
I
movies I've
don't do
never
it
seen.
either. But if Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, like I'm like, wow. Like the Oscar that clip got more views than the Oscars has combined probably last 10 years. Like I could
Facts.
really care less. I mean, you got Amy Schumer on there, who is the unfunny, who's never said anything funny.
Are you
Not one.
serious? You don't like Amy Schumer?
No, she is not funny. If her and Pete Davidson did a stand up show in my living room, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go. I'd leave
I
the
think she's
house.
funny.
I don't think she's funny at all.
All
I
right.
don't think she's funny at all.
So you and I both have been. I want to talk about this because you and I both have been in the coaching world. Now we're doing this on the side. So, are you? I'm doing it on the side. You're doing it
I was
for
about to
a
say,
living.
man, my other business, I can't
Yeah,
talk about
yours is
live
not on
on
the
air.
side. But let's talk about because this is a hot topic right now, especially in the town that I'm currently residing in, and I can't not talk about it. And it's just fan apathy
Mhm.
with really good coaches. So let's talk about first of all. This started with basketball a couple weeks ago with Kentucky and Tennessee. So we got fans on Twitter, and it's not one fan; it's a lot of fans. Like want Rick Barnes fired.
Yeah.
You got fans that want John Calipari fired. I mean, and I know you went on, you had a whole show on it one day, okay, about John Calipari, right?
Yeah. They're not getting fired,
And
though.
I know, but talking about he was overrated and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I'm talking about fans in
Yeah.
general. The part that I want to just like shake the shit out of people and go like, who's coming in the door next?
Mm.
You know, like who are you replacing these guys with? And you look at like Rick Barnes. Okay, let's talk about Rick Barnes. He gets there and you know, Tennessee's won 5 SEC tournaments in the history
Mhm.
of the Southeastern Conference, 5, and he won one of them this year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what what are you? I don't understand. I get that. I understand that. I don't know if it's football bleeding over into the fandom of the SEC but basketball and baseball, which we're going to talk about next, dude, it's hard to win,
Yeah.
man. I mean, like, it's hard to win a
Yeah.
title.
It's hard to win consistently, especially in sports where, in any given day, in any given game, one guy can make the difference. In football, it's hard for one guy to make the difference, throughout the whole course of a game, the way it can in
Unless he's a
basketball
quarterback.
or in baseball. What my thing is, I think you have to take everything on a case by case basis. I think when we try and generalize groups of coaches, it makes it more difficult. But fan and fan apathy, obviously, fan short for fanatical. In the society we live in, everybody wants everything now. When you look at the way that Alabama's
Yeah.
dominated in football. People want that. They see there's an ability or a possibility there to dominate, even if they have no domination in their past. They feel like, well, it's attainable, so we ought to be doing it every year. Well, that's like saying, okay, you're going to start a business and you want to be $1 billion business every year, from the ground up starting. It's not how it works. When you
Right.
when you look at John Calipari, for instance, now he's getting paid a lot of money. Kentucky is one of the places where you can get the best talent, basically year in year out. You have the best facilities, and it's a basketball school. But I'll continue to say, I think the best coach in Lexington's Mark Stoops. I think he does more with less than just about anybody. And Coach Cal, from a championship standpoint, does less with more than just about anybody. I mean, you look at Kentucky, and if you look at the beginning of Coach Cal, where he was, and where Kentucky was, I mean, they were rolling when he got there. I mean, you're going to Final Fours every year. Then you win the Natty with Anthony Davis. It's kind of fallen off in the back end here the past 5, 6, 7 years. But number one, that doesn't mean it's easy. It's easier at Kentucky, in my opinion, than it is at, say,
Yeah.
Mississippi State. But that still doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, should he be fired? In my opinion, no. But even the AD, Mitch Barnhart, came out and was like, "This is unacceptable. Like this is disappointing." And I think he was right when you're paying a guy $8 million a year. Now, Rick Barnes at Tennessee does not have the past in basketball that Kentucky does. They're not a basketball school, basketball blue blood, whatever you want to call it. But
Yet.
but they did get a little taste of success with Bruce Pearl, and now Rick Barnes. Over time, they've had success enough to qualify for the NCAA tournament that they want a little bit more. Is that asking too much? Yes, probably. Especially at Tennessee, when you look at some of these other places, that just focus purely on basketball. The Gonzagas, the Villanovas, places like that. But fans in general, I think it's just a byproduct of society. We want all the nice. It's like calling JG Wentworth. I want my money and I want it now. I mean, they want everything every year the same, and you don't realize how years and years can build up to 1 year. And when you have the
Right.
transfer portal as crazy as it is, now you have NIL. You're throwing extra kind of monkeys into the wrench, or wrenches into the monkey, however you want to put it. Fans will always want more than what they're, number one, gonna get. Probably number two, what they deserve to get, and then number three, what the ceiling is on the place that they're rooting for is always a little bit lower than what they think. But again, I feel like that's just part of being a fan, I guess.
Yeah. So here's where I get it. Like with basketball, and we're going to get to baseball right after this because we got one here in Oxford
Mhm.
that's got everybody up in a
Yeah.
roar. Okay. But in basketball, you get in a tournament.
Yep.
Okay. You get in a tournament and it's win or go home. And you roll up against somebody on a neutral court that goes and goes 20 of 25 from the 3 point line. I don't care how much. I mean, like you can get a hold of a hot shooter and
Yep.
lose really quick. And it has nothing to do with the coaching or he didn't do this or he didn't do that. I mean, you can get it in front of a hot team at the wrong time and lose one game.
Yep.
And so that's where in basketball, I'm like, look at the collection of work here. The championship, whereas in football it's different, okay, I think
Yep.
it's completely different. And then baseball, okay. So here Mike Bianco is the baseball
Mhm.
coach here at Ole Miss. Arguably, and nobody, and let's take, and you're not an Ole Miss fan, so I'm not an Ole Miss fan. I'm not a fan of anybody. That's just the curse of coaching for this long. But arguably, the guy's the top five at his job in the entire country.
Yep.
All right, they were the number one team in the country this past weekend. They got swept by I don't know how many polls there is. I guess supposedly another number one team with Tennessee, which is really good. But you're sitting here and they're wanting a guy fired. When it comes to baseball, like when it comes to baseball, and let's do the order here because you got football, then you got basketball, and then you have
Mhm.
baseball. And let's look at the roles of the head coaches. Like how many, let's just be honest here, how many baseball coaches really impact the results of games?
Not as many as you'd think.
I mean, what are they going? There's no scheme they're running. He's not out there asking, "Hey, look, here's what I want you to do on this 0-2 pitch." Instead of throwing that slider, down and away, I want you to hang one up there and let him hit it 450
Yeah.
feet. Like that's not in the sooner or later in the baseball, the players have to take
Yeah.
responsibility.
It's a lot
There's
more
only so much you
individualized
can do.
sport. Yep.
Right. And so the role, in my opinion, of a baseball coach is to assemble talent, especially at the college level, is to recruit and provide a culture of
Mhm.
success. That's what a
Yeah.
baseball coach does.
Yeah.
You're not going out there and going like, I'm a better coach than you, and I just we won the series. No, your players are either better or they executed better. It's sooner or later the players have to take accountability for that.
Yeah.
Basketball, let's go back to basketball though, Jake. Okay, so basketball, you do have scheme, you do have recruiting, and a basketball coach can affect to a certain
Mhm.
extent the outcome of a game. We agree with that?
100%. More than baseball, less than football.
Then you get to football where it's every play
Mhm.
scheme. It's about recruiting. It's about everything. So a football coach, I get the volatility sometimes, but sometimes I think we allow that volatility of a fandom to bleed over into basketball and baseball. But we got to understand what the root of the problem is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I look at Ole Miss. I think again, it varies on what that school and what that fan base, kind of identifies with. I think deep down, I don't want to piss anybody off. A lot of Ole Miss fans
That's fine. I do it all the
probably
time.
realize that they've got a lot better shot of winning a national championship in the next 20 years in baseball as opposed to football and basketball. So they will put a ton of that same energy that you may say an Alabama fan may root for football more because they know they can win a
Yeah.
national championship. They put that type of energy into that sport, even though the points you just brought up are exactly correct. I mean, you don't have, you can talk about moving guys around with the shift and playing the analytics, but that's what a computer spits out. There's not a ton of, as a baseball coach, you going up there. It's, I guess you can sometimes, like in Major League, be like, Wiggins, just feel like you're going to go up there and get a hit. You hadn't pinch hit in 20 games. I just got a feeling you're going to go up there, the sun shines on
Yeah.
a dog's ass every now and then. But once you get to a place like Ole Miss, or I'm thinking around the country, other places where they're like, all right, this sport is when we like Kansas and basketball.
Vandy.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Vandy.
like Vandy and baseball. Like, they know at the end of the day, this is probably our best shot because you're damn sure ain't winning in football if you're Vandy. You might as well wait 1,000. You might as well wait till the next cataclysm and hope we
You
rebuild
dirty
and
for
you're
that.
like a part of the new order. But no, it's ridiculous. Anybody to talk about Mike Bianco getting fired needs to be fired from whatever job they're doing. I don't care if you're a bank teller, if you're a realtor, and I feel like you should probably get your license taken away because I don't want you driving on the same street as me thinking about dumb stuff like that, like firing Mike Bianco, who all of a sudden what'll happen is it'll be one of those things. Oh, Mike Bianco got swept by Tennessee. Oh, wait, we're hosting another super regional with a chance to go to Omaha. I love Mike Bianco. My kid goes to his camp all the time. I love Mike. We have beers down at the porch and run or whatever it is. So it's so kind of night or day, but depending on what it is, like you're gonna get the most vitriol in that sport. Like Kentucky basketball, like they win 8-9 games in football. Mark Stoops built a statue of them. Like, let's name a steak after him or a sandwich or something from the local steak place.
Bourbon.
Calipari, you're either winning the title or like there's a bunch of old dudes sitting at diners just dogging you all the time, talking about, well,
I know.
Adolph Rupp, till he ran into the guys from Glory Road.
Well, another thing is like, and we've talked about it, but in baseball, dude, I mean, you throw up against you go against the wrong
Yeah,
arm, it doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, they can go shove it right down your throat and make you like it. But
baseball's
for in Ole Miss's case, and look, and for the people that listen to this, we have a ton of people in Oxford, obviously, that listen to this show. I like Mike Bianco wouldn't know me if we ran into each other on the street. It's not like we're friends or anything. I'm saying that, and look, in the history, I want you to get you some of this. This is where I get frustrated. And they went through the whole Kermit Davis thing. Well, that's neither here nor there. But there's always a time and a place. But in the history of the University of Mississippi, like and I guess in the modern era, I don't know how you call it, but they've won one national championship, and it was like in women's golf.
yeah, it was in Quidditch.
It's not like we're rolling out. This is not like there's a precedent of
Yeah.
rolling out, and they're like, well, if he doesn't go to Omaha, and he's got to go. It's Omaha or bust. I just disagree with that. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
No,
I just it is
look,
what it is.
I do too. Mike Bianco, he's a vet in the game, but I mean, if you're again, it's I hate to say this, but it's like the girl in the bar that, or the excuse me, the person in the bar that's a five that
Are
thinks.
you saying that because you're at your Daily
No,
Wire
no,
now,
no.
so
I'm saying that.
you
I'm
gotta
saying that
rephrase
because
that?
it could be a guy or a girl, depending on what you like. I'm just using this as a general example. In
Okay,
the bar,
all right.
somebody who is a five that thinks they're a nine, like a hard nine, and you can't talk them out of it. That's why you'll have like the girls that hang out with uglier girls. Like, I don't know another way to put this. Like the sevens that hang out with fours because they make them look like an 8.5 or a 9. It's the natural order of stuff. Like your Ole Miss, okay, you're in the SEC, you're around Bama that's a 10 in football, and you're really like a 6, but you walked out of the house feeling like an 8. Like you looked in the mirror, you 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 called up some friends and you're like, "Listen, Denise, I really need you to go out tonight because we're really good friends." But deep down, she's a 4. And everybody in there is going to be like, "You're at least a 7." So you're it's kind of like fixing up your house to sell it, or like a car or something. Like, I don't know, it's kind of almost kind of like guilt by association, but not really. Like Ole Miss is like, all right, well, we're hanging out with Bama, like we're coming to the mall with Bama, so why can't we go buy the things that Bama buys? Why can't I get mad when you bring me a pretzel and didn't put cinnamon on it or something like that? Like Ole Miss, you got to remember, sometimes you're a 5, but you're hanging around with people that are like upper echelon. Oh, all of a sudden you get invited to a Great Gatsby party, or it's like that Anna documentary on Netflix. Now all of a sudden you're a German heiress. Like you're not though. You're not though. But in baseball, you have the ability to be a 8 or a 9.
Yeah,
New
yeah.
new clothes just came in. Going to get your hair and your nails did. All of a sudden you're creeping up the charts a little bit, but you still can't remember forget where you came from though.
I got you. That was great. I haven't laughed that hard in a while. That was pretty good. That caused pain.
Yeah, good.
All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about this on fan apathy is this is something I always say, and I don't know if fans ever say it, but let's take somebody like Georgia for example. Okay, with Tom Crean. All right, and we're not talking about football. We're not talking about baseball, all that stuff. But how many times do you got to fire a guy? And I'm talking about like, here's what people don't realize: he's a good basketball coach. He didn't just wake up and show up to
You
Georgia in
think
the SEC by being a bad
what
basketball
makes you
coach
think that about Tom Crean though?
because of his history.
Without
Okay, I
Dwayne
mean he's
Wade.
won at other
Without
places.
Dwayne Wade.
What's that?
His history without Dwayne Wade.
Fair enough. He was, but my point is, you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right? Is how many times do you have to fire a guy before you look in the mirror and go, wait a minute, maybe it's us?
Yeah,
When was the last
well,
time
there's
Georgia did
like I
anything
said, I
in
say this on the show
basketball?
all the time. There's two things I don't understand. One, how Texas doesn't win 10 games every year in football, and two, how Georgia doesn't dominate college basketball with the talent they have around them. My thing with Georgia is it's just like anything. It's just like being a head coach in football. You got to know how to hire people. Like, I don't think Georgia for a while has been able to hire or brought in a guy that you're like, you know what? You can recruit this state. I had JJ Frazier on the show last year. He just told me straight up, he's like, look, Tom Crean's not going in these kids' living room convincing anybody to stay in Georgia. Like, he's just not. He's not that type of guy. So I actually think the Mike White hire is a lot better than what a lot of other people think. Now, do I think Georgia's going to be some dominant program in college basketball? No, but Georgia's a place to me. It's like LSU in football. You can be bad one year and all of a sudden flip the script, get the right guy in there and be a problem. But Georgia hasn't made the same push for basketball like they've made for even
Right.
softball. Like you got to make your Auburn made their mind up. Like Auburn made their mind up. We want to be good at basketball. We'll do whatever. Does it mean bringing in Bruce Pearl? Does it mean throwing a bunch of money at it? Does it mean taking a risk? Yes, Georgia is, and I think now that they got the football natty, they can maybe finally breathe a little bit. They're like, all right, we got that over. We got that. We got over the hump on that. Now we can start, diversifying into other stuff. Because you look, they've tried in baseball. They've tried more in baseball than they've tried in basketball.